Wilson Lemieux. I want to read this to you because I love it. If you follow him on Facebook, and you should, the disclaimer on his thing is getting fat, raising kids, making videos. That's what he does, and he does it better than anybody I know. Wilson, I am so glad to have you on here. I want to give a little backstory. So Wilson and I recently played on a golf tournament. Well, Wilson, your company was the cart sponsor for it, right?
Right.
So Wilson puts out on Facebook, hey, does somebody want to play? And I'm like, I want to go spend the day with Wilson. And I kind of reach out. And so next thing I know, we're playing golf. And then in that, I said, hey, why don't you come in? And I just want to talk to you for like 30 minutes, just about life and everything else. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations on, I just read the other day, 10 year, your company has been in existence for 10 years. Yes, Tell everybody what you do and why you do it.
So I think if I'm going to speak in a professional way, I would say Lemieux Company is a creative content company focused on building better content, telling better stories, whether that's in a commercial space, customer testimonial space, branded content. If it needs a camera and editing, we can do it. I mean, we've done training videos, we've done commercials that you've seen. We've worked with companies like Amarillo National Bank, as well as Hitachi out of Japan. ASCO Equipment's another customer of ours, as well as like the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Utah Jazz. But if you ask my mom what I do, she'll tell you make stuff people don't want to watch, right?
Oh, come on, Mom.
But it's funny because that's always the challenge, right? In advertising, one of my favorite quotes is, and this is paraphrasing here, but long story short is advertising is an unwelcomed guest in somebody's home. My job is to make it the neighbor that has the sugar that you need when you need to walk across the street and get it or walk next door. And so I always see that as such a fun challenge. How can we take selling X, Y, or Z service or communicating X, Y, Z vision, whatever that is, how do you make that engaging and fun or emotional or accomplish the needs that you need for your business? And so when my mother says, you make stuff people don't want to watch, it's like, okay, game on. Let's make this training video something somebody wants to watch, or this 30-second spot something that people remember years and years and years down the road. I think that is the true measure of success. And so that's what we try to do with all of our projects and all of our customers.
And you've been doing it for 10 years. That's a big milestone. It's not an easy business to be in.
No, it's not. And then it's not here as well, right? It's tough to do it in Amarillo, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I mean, in our line of work, and you're well aware of this, it's like there used to be a major disruption every 60 days, even when I was studying this in college. With the advent of AI and emerging technology, it feels like there is a major disruption every day, if not every 6 hours.
Absolutely.
And so how do you adapt? How do you provide value? How do you incorporate these new developments inside of your content when it makes sense? How do you know when to leave them off or leave them on or utilize them in the right way that serves the customer the best way? Those are always challenges that we have to do. And no, it's not easy, but I think over the last 10 years, Amarillo in and of itself has proven to be, at least for us, at least for me, if you play it the right way and if you approach it with the right frame of mind and I think the right heart, Amarillo is a place that I think anybody can grow no matter what they're doing. And I can't speak for everybody that's tried this one way or the other, but for me, Amarillo is the biggest reason we've been able to work with companies like Hitachi out of Japan or NBA teams or insert like Topgolf, right? Insert name brand here. That all starts with the work that we did in Amarillo and the opportunity that Amarillo-based companies and Amarillo business owners gave to us first.
Well, I remember when I heard about the gig that you got with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then I saw that opening that you produced for them, and it blew me away. That was the thing where I was like, man, this WT guy is killing it. And truly it was what was the project that you worked on in that you would have thought, we shared an instructor, Dr. Lee Browning, and we love her. We adore her. In fact, I have something I want you to see. Take a look at that.
Oh.
I keep that on my desk. It's a picture of me and Dr. Browning.
Yeah.
And that sits on my desk. I don't know if you can see that. That sits on my desk as a constant reminder of trying to find a way to do it better. Like, I felt like she always pushed us to do it better. And I think she would be so crazy proud of you because you continue to find ways to do it better.
Well, Andy, I appreciate that. And it's funny, I've seen that picture before.
Yeah.
Lee passed away April of 2015, somewhat suddenly, unexpectedly. But I was tasked with making her funeral video with a buddy of mine named Dustin Rathel.
Yeah.
And what's up, homie?
No, our engineer's going to come here. That's the great thing about this, because we're just having a conversation. We can do that. So you were talking about, so you were working on this video.
Lee's funeral video, and so I got just this huge collection of video and photos or whatever, and that's one of them that I'd seen before in some archive or something like that somewhere. Yeah. And so that, that picture brings back a lot of memories. And Lee, and I think that you could probably speak to this too, is Lee was really good at taking kids like us, right? I think
guy from Boys Ranch, a guy from Wellington,
right, and with a chip on their shoulder and a thirst to prove themselves, and telling you it does not matter where you come from. It does not matter who you were before you got here. It does not matter any of the other circumstances. We can get you where you want to go. And then would take me by the hand and show me all the things that I could ever do. The only reason the first time I ever flew on a plane was because of Lee Browning and Lori Westerman with the advertising team. The first time that I ever, was able to go to New York, in part, was because of Lee Browning, right? And Randy Ray at KWTS. And so, like, all of these things that, really Lee kind of helped to, and WT in general helped to expose me to, like, I didn't know I could do this. Right, you don't know. Growing up in Wellington, like I'd sacked groceries and built fence, and I worked as like basically a daycare guy for a little bit, waited tables. I think I had every job that a 15-year-old could have
in Wellington.
Right, and so it's like you don't know what's possible. When I got to WT at first, I thought about being a coach, but talking on the radio was a lot more fun. And so
wasn't it though? Like that's how Lee got me, was just a radio class.
Well, and to be able to have a radio show and talk about those things, like it was just cool, right? Like, people could listen to me on Thursdays from 5 to 7 on the 191.1 FM.
What music did you play? What was your...
So we did, I did the best, the top 21. So it was like the top rated stuff playing on KWTS, which was at the time its standard kind of all college radio format, right? But being 18, 19, 20 years old and getting like Foster the People's record before everybody else in town, and when you're like trying to date at that age, like those are just cool little things, you know what I mean? And so the point I'm trying to make here is like Lee was really good at teaching me that I was never limited by my location. And so taking that inspiration and that motivation from her when I started my business, and a big reason I started my business was because I did her funeral video. And I was like, okay, I might actually be pretty good at this. And so taking that, I'm not limited by my location, I'm not limited by what I don't have, all I have to go do is work and show up, and I'm going to be better than about 85 to 90% of my competition because I care more. And that kind of stuff, I think that you could agree to. You learn in places like Wellington. You come out of places like Wellington or like Boys Ranch, and you come to WT, at least for me, thinking everybody here chose to be here and wants to be here and is going to work as hard as they can to get where they want in their career. Right. So I've got to work harder. The funny thing is half the kids don't care. Most of the students don't care. Yeah. And so you figure out, okay, cool. All I've got to do is the base level of what you're taught in like a small town like Wellington, and more often than not, you'll outshine your competition because you're just taught how to work, right? And so those kind of things with Lee and WT and my raising back home are a big reason we've been able to get and do the jobs that we have, because we just try to work everybody else to the bone. Outwork the competition and do it with a smile on. And lo and behold, now you're doing a podcast with Andy Justus.
Yeah, this is fun. Again, and this is what I love about when I created this. Let's talk about it. It didn't have to be anything serious. It could be something just back. And at the end of the day, I think I've used it most to just kind of talk to friends and kind of check in with them. And also just talk about people that are doing good things. Mm-hmm. And again, you guys are doing that. So there was this story. You've done a lot of different like fun ads. You've done a lot of stuff for Emerald National Bank. Do a lot of that. For ASCO recently, you shot a commercial down in Dallas, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they shut down a highway for it. How did you get that done?
All it takes is money and people. And I know that sounds really simple. And so the project Andy's talking about, we did ASCO's brand manifesto. So it's how they want to present themselves, not only to their employees, but to their customers, right? And I think to a certain extent, it's more important for employee morale than it even is for an outside view. I mean, everybody has seen the ASCO spots. You can go all the way back to like the Trace Adkin days, right? And they're a staple, I think, especially in the construction community across the state of Texas, not just Amarillo. But that job, we wanted to end the shot with this 18-wheeler, this ASCO 18-wheeler, transporting one of their like backhoes or something like that down the highway, and they were going to cut to a toy car. And I wanted it to be a match cut. And so we were looking at bridges and stuff, and I had my line producer kind of look into stopping the bridge, whatever, in Dallas, and he'd done it a couple times. And so all it really took was you have to be fast enough to get the permits. You got to have the money, you got to pay police, and then you can do what's called a rolling lockup. And so it's like we didn't shut the bridge down for 2 hours. I think that'd be a good way to probably get killed in Dallas. But what we did is you'd basically stop it. The 2 cops would come up the bridge. They'd stop the traffic that was oncoming. We'd take our shot with our drone. Then they'd open up the bridge, let traffic pass, and we did that for 2 hours. And I think we got our shot at like take 3, but I was like, we've got this for 2 hours. Let's keep doing this, right? And so a lot of times, and I'm actually glad you said this. So like a lot of times in creativity and in filmmaking, you see what's on screen, and then if you're not familiar with the industry, it stops there, right? So you don't think about all the things it takes to be able to get that done. A lot of times people are like, okay, cool, there's the camera guy, there's a director, we have a sound guy, let's go make something. And I think in a lot of ways, especially with like entry-level production or kind of your standard like video guy type stuff, like that works. But when you're watching a Taylor Sheridan film, or you're watching like something that we did for ASCO, or something that we did for A&B, it takes, I mean, at times, like the ASCO job, we had I paid about 50 different people that touched that in one way or another to be able to get it to what it was. And so it takes a village, quite literally, in some instances, to get those things done. I mean, there are hundreds of people that work on your favorite movies. And so being able to not only accomplish the creative vision, but have the people skills and the management skills and the relationship ability to pull a team together and then have them all like you by the end of it, in my opinion, is more important or even more impressive than what you end up seeing on screen. Right. Because there's so many moving pieces, and you all have to be able to like see the vision of your director. And so that challenge and all phases of it is something that always brings me a lot of joy.
Okay, we've talked about a couple of these ads. Is there a place that they can go, if people who are listening to this, where they can go and watch some of the stuff that you've done?
So our website has most of our stuff on it. I do need to update it, but that's www.lemieux.company, the whole word. So I'm sure we'll be able to put it up on a ticker or something.
Yeah, you gotta go over there and check that out. Because I love it when people from our area that grow up here are doing good things. And it would have been really easy for you to move down to Austin and do your thing, but you stayed true to good old Panhandle and hung out here and continue to do good stuff right here. What was it like growing up in Wellington, being a skyrocket?
Oh, well, we didn't win state while we were there.
I know why. There was another team called Canadian, I think. I'm sorry.
The bane of our existence, Canadian guys.
I'm sorry to bring it up.
No, I'm totally joking. But yeah, we had to play Canadian, right? I probably sound like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. If Wade Williams would let me play quarterback, my 5'1" 40 time. Yeah. But no, it was, I look back at it, and I think that when you're young, you kind of resent it. Because and this is like the advent of social media. Like I had my top 8 on my MySpace. I had, all that kind of stuff. And you're starting to see, you get glimpses into what's life outside of the Panhandle like. And I think when you're a kid, you don't appreciate the things that small towns can really offer. And I know there's a lot of high school kids getting ready to go to college soon from here that just wanted to get out of Amarillo for the same reason, right? But I think that, everybody there knew me and cared about me and respected my mother and my father, and were rooting for you even to this day. Like I went back from a high school reunion a couple weeks ago, probably about 3 weeks ago.
What year is your high school reunion?
Is 2010, so 15 years ago. 15 years. And you see a lot of their old friends, and they're following you, and they're talking about all the stuff that you've done, and you follow them. And so like growing up in a small town, you find out really quickly you can't act up because everybody's going to know. And if you do something out in town. Your mom will know by the time you get home. I mean, the first time I ever drank, I got caught. I pocket dialed my parent, which was hilarious.
When you had your first drink of alcohol?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's on par for me, very on brand. But it was, I look back at it and I'm so incredibly thankful to have grown up in Wellington, because I don't know. I think a lot of people paint the Panhandle as these, like, we're like backwoods, uneducated type of folks. And I'm not saying here in Amarillo, but kind of countrywide, is this small rural communities there don't have access to X, Y, or Z or whatever.
And they don't know how good we have it.
No, man. And it's like, I don't know, there's the values you learn in a small town. You learn to really care about people because you need everybody. And I think that you learn, you can't get away with acting a fool. You can't, like, not that you want to, but you get what I'm trying to say.
And you have to be authentic, because I'm telling you, they can see BS from a mile away.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's another one of the parts about having that. I talk about Heart of the High Plains all the time. This idea, right? This thing that we're all kind of in this together. But if you're full of it, you're gonna find out real quick.
Yeah, and you're not gonna like it when you find out that everybody else already knew.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like my mother, my father. I think about like some of my best teachers. Like Caroline Ashmore was my English teacher and writing teacher, and she was the first person that told me, "You have a voice when you write, and I can tell when you wrote something. Like you should foster this talent that you have, and you should pour into it." Teachers like Judy Cudd, I can remember. I needed to take a dual credit XYZ class and couldn't necessarily pay for it. And she paid for it and didn't tell me. And, most of my college, I was helped by the Zephyr Foundation, which is Pat and Val White, right? Like Wes Reeves, his mother was my second grade teacher, And so it's just, you see all these people that genuinely want you to win, want you to do well, want you to succeed, and will invest in you in ways that I don't think that you see from bigger, more metropolitan areas. I wasn't incredibly connected, quote unquote. Like I wouldn't tell anybody I was part of the it crowd in Wellington. But I'll also say that didn't matter. You know what I mean? I showed promise. I showed heart. I wanted to go and just see what I could do. I wanted to go to college. And those people stepped up and helped me and encouraged me and gave me the confidence to be like, okay, cool. I might actually be pretty smart. I might actually be pretty talented. I might be able to go take on college and make it. Because, I was the first one in my family to go. And so those kind of things, and throughout my entire career, it's always been uncomfortable position after uncomfortable position after uncomfortable position, but with the support and encouragement from, my peers here closely and my family here closely here in Amarillo, but also communities like Wellington and then Panhandle in general. It's just something, and I've worked all over the place. You don't see that anywhere but the Panhandle, in my opinion.
I agree. I need to say this for the record. We're biased. Obviously, we grew up here on the High Plains. We've called this place home. We're raising our families. We're our business, our company, whatever we're doing here by choice. Man, I love to hear that, because it is, again, I think from the outside lens looking in on a national perspective of, you're right. It's these small town people or whatever, and they don't realize that there's so much grit and determination and everything put into there. I'm curious, how did your family end up in Wellington?
So dude, I could go away. Originally, my mother's a Reynolds, right? And so my grandfather had lived there for several years. My grandmother had lived there. All of my aunts and uncles grew up in Wellington, my mother as well. And she'd met my father while she was living in Dallas. They got married, and then we moved back home, right? And so Wellington is most all I ever knew growing up. We moved around a little bit when I was young, but Wellington, I would say, the most formative years of my life were spent there. And so Wellington's just always been for me in a lot of ways. My mother's family, they came over from Georgia and Kentucky post-Civil War. They actually owned a lot of land out in Oklahoma, out toward Mangum. And we've still got some old family homesteads that my uncle owns out that way. And then they moved from there and basically just migrated into Wellington. That's where my grandfather came. And so when my grandfather and my grandmother got married, they moved out this way. And, yeah, I mean, they built a life there. And then I grew up there and built a life there. And we still take my kids back all the time. And I try to catch a couple Skyrocket games when I can, especially the playoffs when they play up here. And so Wellington's still such a huge part of who I am in the best way, I think. Like, I think I kept the grit, the determination, the watch this aspect of coming from a small town. And what I love so much about WT is no one ever tried to stifle that. And I think as the older I've gotten, the more I look back, there's so many different ways that my career could have gone. And I think that had I been stifled like that or just told to not be myself at WT, I don't know if I would have done what I'm doing now. Had I started this business in Dallas or try to come up through the film like hierarchy the traditional way, we wouldn't have the opportunities that we have. And I think that I probably would have quit because that stuff sucks. Like being on a set can suck, especially if you're a PA or like a grip or insert XYZ position. It's great. It's fun. I wouldn't do anything else. I couldn't do anything else. But also, I have to acknowledge that it's hard work. It's really hard work. And so doing it the way that we did it, coming up the way that we came up, growing up in Wellington, going to WT, starting my business here, I think was I don't know if it was the only pathway, but it was the pathway that got us here. And I'm very thankful and don't regret any of those decisions I've ever made.
Do you find that, again, I kind of felt the same way when I went to WT. There was I had a chip on my shoulder. And plus, I was a little insecure, too, because here I am. I'm a kid. I don't have a whole lot of family ties. I'm kind of doing this on my own. Small town kid. Don't know a whole lot. And I went there, and I was taught, you belong in every room that you're in. Doesn't matter who else is in there, but you belong there and act like it. As opposed to, and it was kind of changed everything about me. And so, you belong. All right. So, wife and kids, give us kind of everybody doing good?
Yes. So I am married, or I'm the father of 4, husband of 1. Married to a wonderful.
I'm glad we clarified that.
Just got to clarify it. I'm married to a wonderful woman named Heather Lemieux, who is the rock of our home. I make the joke all the time. If I'd have married anybody else, I'd already be divorced. Being a self-employed creative in Amarillo, Texas is not without its challenges. And Heather has always been the one to keep us on the straight and narrow and keep everything grounded. And then together we have 4 kids. Madden Lemieux's our oldest. He's 15. He'll be 16 in less than a month. No, a little over a month. Then we have Nora, who's 9. And then we have Florence, who is 7. We affectionately call her Flossie. And then I named my last one Alden because Dad was all done having kids.
Oh, I like it.
And so Alden's 5, and so there's 6 of us, and the house is always kind of a mess. We're always a little frazzled, but there's a lot of love and a lot of fun.
From one dad to the next, how much do you just love embarrassing them?
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. But the thing is,
when you hear, Dad.
Well, so Madden, my 15-year-old, is, I think, like morbidly ashamed of me at this point.
Did he see you wearing shorts the other day like I did on the golf course? Is that what did it for him?
Well, I mean, there's several reasons, right? He today I had to pick him up from school. He had a migraine, and we're driving home, and he's just like, Dad, you're very loud. You're just a loud person. And he didn't say it to be rude. He just was just like, Dad, you're very loud. Now, his migraine might have had something to do with it, but he hit the nail.
Not.
Yeah, or not. I mean, he's just stating facts.
Yeah.
I'm a loud person. But yeah, I really enjoy embarrassing them. Most of the kids, though, you got to remember they're my kids, so they don't embarrass easy, right? They've all got a ton of personality. They're all quite loud. They're all, rambunctious. And so I don't necessarily embarrass them yet, but I can tell Nora is on the cusp of not being a kid anymore, and so I can tell I start to embarrass her at times. But when the time comes, I'll take every chance I can.
I get that from my kids all the time. Dad, you're so loud. And I was always taught, Denise Green was my theater teacher out at Boys Ranch, my speech and debate coach and everything else. And it was always speak with authority. So I don't ever think in terms of, I'm just projecting.
Right.
That's what I do. And so, but my kids, if I'm on the phone, I'm working a real estate deal or I'm talking to a friend or whatever at home, I get that all the time. Dad, why are you so loud? And It's part of it. All right. So what's next for you? Your company made it to the 10-year mark. What's next for you and the company?
That's an interesting question, right? I think like you've always got your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan. Yeah. What's so funny is like when I started, I thought that we'd be here, but I didn't know how we'd get here, and I didn't know what here looked like. But 23-year-old Wilson is quite proud of 33-year-old Wilson. You know, I think that like if the goal was to make that kid realize that kid's dreams, I feel like we've done that. And so now it's like, what's 33-year-old Wilson looking for? And sometimes it's not always work-based, right? Yeah. I think that over the last 2 or 3 years, I've really, I won't say shifted, but I've allowed work to not take up the most, like every inch of my personality and identity, et cetera. And so right now I'm really happy for work to be work, and then to be able to go home and like be present at home and let a phone call go to voicemail and take it tomorrow. And so I still want to grow. I want to be able to be doing, 5 to 10 times what we're doing in the next 5 to 10 years. I think ideally I'd love to do a national Super Bowl spot before it's all done. I'd love to produce a feature film like the right way, with the right money and the right crew. I'd love to be able to make more content at a high level that I think celebrates the Texas Panhandle and our roots and our heritage, and communicates the fact, too, one of the most important things is that we can be as small and isolated and remote in the eyes of the national public as long as they think that that's necessary. But they need to realize that the shirt on their back, the food that they eat, and the fuel in their car comes from us. Yeah. And as much as everybody wants to maybe look down on their nose at the Texas Panhandle, not only are we good people, not only are we proud people and honest people, you need us.
Our producers, those farmers, our beef industry, all of those things. You're right. We literally, whether it's fueling your car or fueling your family, it's done right here on the High Plains, and I'm glad you said that. Well, I can't wait to talk to you. I don't know. We won't wait another 10 years or so to do this. Thank you for letting me play golf with you the other day.
Oh man, thanks for carrying us.
I had a blast, and thank you for representing WT so well. I know the people in Wellington are so proud of you, and I think there's that, like you said, there's that thing about growing up in those small towns, hearing people outside of your family saying, "Hey, man, good job, proud of you. We're cheering for you." It matters.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And I think if there's any closing thought that I would have is just like if you're a student at WT listening to this, or a student in Wellington or Canadian or Clarendon, or I'll even say Memphis, right, as a Wellington Skyrocket, you can do it, whatever that is that you can do it. You can do whether you want it. If you're a high school senior right now listening to this, and you're maybe listening to this during two-a-days or something like that, like I was there, and never at the age of 17, 18 years old would I have expected to be able to sit down and have coffee and talk with like former Nike creative director, or a current Apple creative director, or be able to talk to guys that are winning Cannes Lions or doing some of the best national advertising that you've seen. And I've had conversations with all of those people. And the town you come from can never be small enough for you not to accomplish what you want to do. There are resources out there across the board that you can do whatever it is you need to do. And so I'm speaking at a conference in a month, and one of the segments of that conference is my entire career has been an embarrassment. And I think that a lot of kids, young kids, need to realize or need to hear that you're going to embarrass yourself most of your life for the next 10 to 15, maybe even 20 years.
Yeah.
Do not run away from that embarrassment. The key to our success has been punching above our weight class, embarrassed as we could be, and getting through it and learning. And with that comes a lot of grace for yourself, a lot of grace for other people. And I don't know whether you want to call it God, the universe, whatever that is, I think that it sees what you're doing and it puts things in your path, right? One of my favorite verses is, a righteous man walks his own path, but the Lord guides his steps, right? And so like any kid that's listening, whatever it is you want to do, if you want to make stories and films and commercials one day, go for it. If you want to be the CEO of a big natural gas company, go do it. If you want to start a feedlot, like, do whatever that is you think that you need to do, because the Panhandle is going to help you get there if you do it the right way. And that is just the best encouragement that I could give to anybody.
Can't add or subtract from that. Wilson, thank you for being here. I can't wait to talk to you again, and go Skyrockets.
That's right, baby. Y'all be good.